be a major breakthrough in technology, and that'll shift us. So, like for instance, the Model T, or when the assembly line, when Henry Ford came with it, that changed everything, And now, when we got computers, that changed everything. Then the laptop. Then we got and who knew we would have our own replicators? I mean, not replicators, but communicators. Like what's his face? Kirk. Who knew? But it changed everything. We don't. So we made. What is interesting in the United States in terms of education, that even though we didn't quite change everything, because even though technology has changed a lot of stuff in the United States, it hasn't changed education really that much. Our educational system is pretty much the same one that we had, and it was developed for a different purpose. It was actually developed for the people working on assembly lines, and women in particular, to learn how to do it, and that's how we started kind of schools. But that's that's the same model that we're working with.
So what role do you think people who are getting their doctorates have in the future as far as making a contribution to not just education but society?
Right. I think what I would like to see them do, I don't know that that's what's happening or the role they are playing, is to be those people who can see. And that's why I say getting a doctorate is a process. It is not something to be rushed, because it is a process of you changing your perspective and seeing from a bigger, it's an opportunity for you to do that. But many doctoral students don't do that. They're very narrowly focused in terms of what they're doing. But if you give it the opportunity and the time, you can begin to see, and that's what happened to me in grad school. I begin to see differently. And I think PhDs, I would like to see them do that. I think we should be those that envision things differently and then provide the opportunities for that. I'm working now on a community leadership institute with some pretty high-powered people. And what what we're talking about is that we want to provide, we don't want to do it or tell people how to do it. We want to provide the space for these conversations for whatever needs to evolve. And so we're coming full circle right back to your original question, which was about the creative process, where we don't know what the answer is. I can't tell you how to fix it. But out of those conversations, bringing these perspectives together, this thing emerges and is a new thing. What would the academy be like from an integral perspective as opposed to the more traditional perspective that reigns in the academy now? And we thought that's what it would be. It would be a place, number one, where it would do what Roosevelt originally said, is provide the environment, maintain an environment, in which he talked about a giraffe and an elephant, where and the jelly beans, he always talked about jelly beans, but where they can exist, and we don't have to compromise the existence of any of them for another. And how do we create that, container? Maybe it's not even a container. Maybe, the walls come down or whatever, So anyway, I don't know if I'm really answering, but it's right back to that, I think,
This year is 50 years since the 1963 March on Washington.
Right.
And there are a lot of other, things that, it's kind of like an anniversary. How do you, some people say we haven't made much progress. My opinion is I think we've made tremendous progress in changing public consciousness, if nothing else. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with you, but I think it's because of technology. I think it's because people saw, I think those opportunities were made so that people like my son would be able to have opportunities that he wouldn't have had otherwise. And that put him in a space where he was able to connect with people that he wouldn't have connected with otherwise. And those individuals started seeing each other face to face instead of hearing about each other, from somebody else or whatever. And they learned to be together in an okay space, and so he has friends, all kinds of friends, and they're able to do that now more and more via technology. So I think technology has helped us actually move the original movement forward. My mother, you cannot tell her that integration was in any kind of way a good thing, because she said when we had segregation, black folks had businesses, hotels, restaurants, did everything, and banks and everything else, and community and a whole bunch of other stuff. Segregation ripped all that apart.
That's right.
My great uncle, was the president of Bluefield State, historically black institution, which is now West Virginia State and is all white. Okay. We lost, according to my mother, all of that, with, integration. So she's saying that wasn't such a good thing. However, the opportunity for my son to be in conversation with so many different people all over the world wouldn't have happened without that, So there were some gains, there were some losses. That always happens, in anything. There's going to be some things, and we have to see. And certainly we have.
So how do you make up for the loss? And the gain is great, but how do you make up for that loss?
That's a good question. Usually that happens through revolution. And, some people are saying that we're at a point, in the United States where, it's going to tip the scales, that, empires fall like that, and then they're reconstructed, through revolution. I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't have an answer. I would hope that we wouldn't have to, go through that, but that's been a pattern through history. Because it's not going to be acceptable for large numbers of people to be unemployed and uneducated and underserved and not, But I think what's different is that now those that are underserved in large numbers recognize that it's not just black people or Spanish-speaking people or whatever, Native Americans or, whatever. It's middle class and lower class, white people. And they recognize, that's what got recognized in the last election. We were having a discussion last night, and that's what got recognized in the last election. That, they don't like us either. So I don't think it's going to be okay for that, and I think, that's how movements arise. And
so what do you think about the political environment?
And so, I was going to say, so hopefully revolution means something like the revolution. We had a revolution in the 60s. Mm-hmm. Last night they played the thing, Welcome to the Revolution. Yeah, we had a revolution.
Yeah.